Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm your host, Stephanie Anthony. We're in the midst of a good time. On the phone line, we have our very own East Baton Rouge Parish School Board member, Don Collins. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. How about
I
yourself?
can't complain. Nobody will
All right.
listen. They start off acting like they're listening, but they're not.
So true, so true. Plus, it's just no benefit.
No.
It doesn't change anything.
I have a relative, bless her heart. You can't say how you doing. She gonna tell you everything that's wrong.
Just dump it all on you.
Right. You be like, okay, bye. That's it. Listen, you have a full plate. You have joined the Grandmothers Club.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am Gigi to Eden Stefan Collins.
Oh my
the
goodness.
best grandson in the world, second only, equal only to yours.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. I love it. I love it. How old is Ian, you say?
Eden is 5 years old.
Oh my goodness.
In kindergarten in the East Baton Rouge public school system.
Ow. Well, dude. All right, we go after the show. We gonna find out where he go to school.
All right.
Although, look, it don't do no good. My two granddaughters have one has made her 3, and the other one will make her 3 in April. And they live out, they don't live in Louisiana, so I just be being nosy for nosy's sake.
Oh, no problem.
And along with being a elected official, you in law school?
Oh, yeah. Babe, I just took my graduation pictures this morning.
What?
I'm just so excited. Can't wait for the chance. The day has been busy. I haven't had a chance to post that on social media so I can share my joy with the world, But yes, graduating first of 2022 from the illustrious Southern University Law Center. Yes, ma'am.
You'll be attorney.
Yes.
Done. Esquire. I love it. Now, Eric, we got to give a shout out. Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school. I graduated from then the high school formerly known as Roberts E. Lee High School. It's currently Liberty High. The recent name change that I voted for because it was the right thing to do. But I go ahead when people ask me where I graduated from, I still say Robert E. Lee High School because that's what's on my diploma and it reflects the reality of the time. Mm-hmm.
Look, I gotta make you laugh. I never forget when they were doing the vote on whether or not they were going to change the name of the school. I think the first vote they decided, I don't know if I got this wrong, they decided they were going to just keep the name to be Lehigh, and the school board member, what's her name, Vera Lee?
Verita
Lee.
He came up for a name change a couple of times. Sound like you talking about when Verita was on.
Yes, the one the first time she said, "Oh, they voted to name the school after me." Because her last name is
like the cloud. Yes.
I miss her. Good people. Oh yes. But anyway, you from that old Lee, but I understand you got some deeper root connections before you went to Lee.
Yes. So my first 3 years of high school, my freshman through junior year, I went to Scotlandville Magnet High when it was when it was a dedicated magnet. I'm glad that the school system has chosen to take a more balanced approach and have the amazing magnet programs on a traditional campus, so those resources can be leveraged for all the students on the campus. But yes, from 90 to 93, I was over there as a Scotlandville Eagle, and then I just felt like I wanted to go and hang out with my middle school friends.
Okay. I understand.
I went over there to the Robert E. Lee High School.
Look, my sister was
1994.
My sister was a Confederate. with the white gloves.
My mascot is a Confederate rebel. Now I reject the Confederate, but I embrace the rebel.
I hear you. Oh, I'm gone stuff. Listen, so you were over at Scotlandville when they really had you. Did you say eagle, or when they actually had a magnet as their?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. Yes. So it was, that's when it was a dedicated magnet, and none of the neighborhood kids were on the campus because it was a dedicated magnet at the time that I was there. And the mascot at that time was not the Hornets, it was the Eagles.
Oh, okay. Well, look, it went through some changes because at one point they actually had a U-shaped magnet as the mascot. And I was like, what kind of football team is that? And they were like, they don't have no football team.
Right.
But of course, I remember the mighty black and gold Hornets.
Yes.
And they had their own football field. So now you've grown all up. You've become a grandmother attorney. That's how long you been on the school board? Look like you've been there forever.
2016, I came in the middle of now Judge Thomas Smith's term when he won that judge seat. That left half a term for someone to step up to the plate, and so I did.
What made you want to jump into that? Because back in 20s, that was some coming up to then. That was some hair pulling out time.
It was hair pulling out and chair throwing. Yes, ma'am. It was a lot. And the dynamics on the board was a bit much, and every once in a while it continues to be.
Okay.
No chair throwing since I got on the board. But yes, ma'am. So what made me want to do it? Well, I've been a community advocate for a while. Me and you've been knowing each other from the advocacy community before I got on the school board.
Look, I don't mind saying. Look, let me interrupt you. I don't mind saying that you came out with a boldness that I had not seen in a young girl. She young under me. And she reminded me of the old style grassroots organizer. And if Don said, let's go such and such a place, I knew we wasn't going to be in no 5-star hotel. We're going to be somewhere where you got to bring your own towels. You got to bring your own sheets. You gotta hope there might be a pillow.
Making it happen.
Look, it was gonna be somewhere with bunk beds.
Yes.
My bad.
Right there with you. We was together, baby. We was coming it out together.
She was right. That's right. She was right there in the lower bunk. She'll give you the top bunk on. But she was like those old time grassroots. Go all in the country somewhere where nobody knows. Where they eating possum,
Yes, possum ain't cool. Okay.
To train folk or learn something or address some issue. And I really admired that. And for as long as my back held out,
you was right there with me, huh?
I was there with you.
I love you for it. I love you.
Well, listen, now it's never a dull moment on the school board. We have a new school board director, president. What you call him?
The superintendent of the
Superintendent Navarin. How you say it?
Superintendent of the school system.
Yes. And so there was controversy when he came on. You all kind of went, kind of made peace where that was concerned. And now I understand that they're discussing two issues that I want to talk with you about. One having to do with the one-time bonus stipend of $2,000 that teachers and aides, classroom assistants were very, very happy about. And then the bus drivers and the cafeteria workers packed the house. They say, what about us?
$0 and 0 cents. They were shoot out of luck. SOL. I cleaned it up for the radio station.
All right.
They were SOL.
Yes. All right. Tell us
shoot out of luck.
Shoot. I think there's another word go there. But anyway.
No, we got it. We got
it. That's right, for Christian radio. We got it.
Yes,
now,
absolutely.
What went down? I heard all kind of stuff. Bus drivers saying, if we the ones, we got to have something.
And they were right. They were right. Not quite. Well,
I think you came up with a suggestion to stretch the money further.
Yes. So, yes, I did. So when it first came up on the agenda, and there was discussion, let me back up. For months, I watched Baker give to their teachers using the COVID money. I watched, I think Ascension Parish, several parishes, let's say it like that, in Louisiana give their teachers and staff COVID, bonuses, stipends. And one parish, at least, I think, actually did a full-blown salary increase, not just a one-time stipend.
And that was out of the federal money.
Yes, and that was out of the federal COVID money. And I kept asking during the public school board meetings, how come everybody else able to do it, but we not? Okay. And I could never get an answer. So here we go. Finally, folks decide we need, to give our teachers something, because we have a teacher retention problem.
We own our second variant.
Right, correct. Yeah, and so and it's a national employment issue. It's not just isolated to EBR school system.
No, we don't. For those of you out there, we don't have the baddest kids in the South.
We really
don't.
But
we do have some that take some adjustment.
Yes.
And it's teachers retiring, and they say they'll never go back. Used to be they would retire and then come back as subs.
Well, now, part of the reason why they don't do that anymore is actually legal. They are prohibited. We are I don't want to say the wrong language, but long story short, many of them probably would come back, but laws would change so that they can't. So that's part of some of that. Because them old school teachers, they can handle all of that.
They would come right. They come
in and get it together.
When we were in school, they give them a retirement party, and next year they be right back there sitting up.
And that was something that worked very well for our students.
Yeah, because we thought we were gonna get away with it. There they were. It's like, why aren't you somewhere on a fishing pond?
Yes.
Anyway,
living out the golden years.
Yeah, $2,000.
That's the ones you want, the ones that like to keep going.
Yeah, that's true. $2,000 on the one time they decide they're gonna give to the support workers and the teaching staff. But I don't think
teachers. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
It was initially proposed just for teachers and librarians.
Oh, that shouldn't have hit too good. So the secretary that helped pass out the checks wasn't gonna get none. Now I know that y'all don't have no paper checks no more, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am, I understand what you're saying.
Yes, The one that, oh my, so that didn't go too well, and somebody petitioned the powers that be.
Yes.
And got
and so then one thing that I pushed was to recognize that during that particular board meeting that in fact we can we are legally committed to do what these other districts have done. And so I read a news article quoting the U.S. Department of Secretary Cardona, the Secretary for the U.S. Department of Education, Secretary Cardona, specifically encouraging school districts across the nation to please use the money, not just to help retain teachers, but also your support staff.
All right.
Okay. And so and not only was that in a news article, he sent that letter to all school districts. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna leave that there, and I'm not gonna say anything else about why I was asking for months. And
all right.
Okay.
I understand.
Right, moving on. To the next part. Go ahead. Ask me the next part.
So the bus drivers and the cafeteria people say, what about us? The bus drivers say, if we don't bring them, you can't teach them.
Correct.
And the cafeteria workers say, if we don't feed them, you don't want them.
Correct.
And when y'all was at home, social distancing, we was in here fixing up food to send to them.
Correct.
Why we can't get in on the COVID bonus?
And they were right.
All right.
Okay. And so then what we ended up doing was taking an approach that the legislature have taken in the past, and it's standard practice, which is okay. 2,000 instead of 2,000 just for teachers and librarians. We brought the amount down to 1,200 so it could be more affordable to the budget. Although there are some budgetary concerns, there are some budgetary concerns, so we have to put it. We have to be reasonable with the expense. Okay, so we brought it down to 1,200 for all certificated staff. So that includes your teachers, that includes your librarians, but it also includes your reading coaches, your instructional specialists. Because see, they were getting left out as well. And then 600 for support staff. Okay, so that includes
like the
your
teacher?
bus drivers, your bus drivers, your cafeteria, etc., your clerks.
Well, wait a minute. Did the teachers' aides get left out of that?
No, not in what we finally approved. Okay. No.
So you have approved these numbers?
Yes. Yes.
And so when can the people expect this bonus? Which won't be worth 2 cents by the time we finish talking about it and it gets to the bank account. That's what I used in years past. I was a photographer, and people, it's supposed to be, I give you the pictures, you give me the money, and it was always, let me hold the pictures till the first. By the time I got my money, it wasn't worth nothing. I had spent it 4 times. I'd be like, Cal gonna take me away. But anyway, when can they expect the money?
My understanding is on the next check, but okay. I will follow up with you to get some clarity on the exact date on that.
So everybody, not everybody, but most people got a little something.
Yeah, of course not. Not cabinet level staff or what have you.
Now, when you say cabinet level staff, what you talking? Principals?
No, when I say cabinet level staff, I mean of course, not the superintendent, not the chiefs of the various departments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would have sucked it all up. Because East Baton Rouge Parish got more administrators than anybody in the world.
Yes.
It should be running like a clock.
Look, at one time, it inflated, and look, I'm not trying to.
Look, Sister Collins, stop! Don't follow me. I'll get you fired.
No, I mean, what I'm trying to speak the truth without
hurting no
nasty
feelings
to anybody. I don't mind preaching the truth, but I don't want to say it in a way where it come across like I'm trying to be nasty. So I do have concern, and I've voted against. I have voted against staff increases on the district level. Okay. Because at one time, and I agree, one time that was taboo, from across the board. People want us to be fiscally conservative, and I agree. Okay, fiscally responsible, etc. And so,
well, this is what my problem of it was.
Okay.
They would look down in the schools and see who doing a good job, and they would snatch them out the school. And put them in the main school board office. And then as soon as their assistant, got real good, they snatched them. So they would snatch 3 levels down. They were snatching guidance counselors. I'm like, what? Who y'all gonna leave for the kids? I believe in being upwardly mobile. But they didn't ever give the people time to regroup at the school level. And
it used to be that there was a culture of developing a pipeline in the education system. Yeah. Okay, so that if a principal saw a good teacher, that principal started molding and mentoring them.
There you go.
And so on and so forth with the various positions. And so then, like you say, the time was put into making sure there's a decent replacement once you move somebody, because you want people to be upwardly mobile if that's what they so choose. Now, some people love the classroom. It's amazing, and they're not interested. And it's not a lack of ambition. It's a matter of knowing their purpose.
And they want the support. Some of them go to the main office because they think they'll be able to do something for the schools.
That's true.
But then they get into let me leave that alone. I have another question that I know people are asking, and that is the school board is holding a series of meetings, open houses, whatever they might call it, on this new thing called Bright Futures, Pathway to Bright, long title. Pathway to Bright Futures program. And for the best I can understand it, is that it's a pipeline for 9th graders to either know or decide if they're going to go to college or if they're going to work with their hands. Do I have that correct? Basically, I know it's not no wonderfully educated academic way of putting it. But it seems to me that that's what they're saying. 9th graders will come in, and I look like I heard this a couple of times before. They didn't have this long title, but before they've come up with an idea where kids will have to pick what they want to do in 9th grade, and then they'll take a prescribed curriculum of courses that are either college-bound courses or are either labor or non-college-bound courses, and it failed or dwindled out a couple of times in my lifetime because people don't know what they don't know. A 9th grader don't know if they're going to be a PhD or whether or not they're going to be a plumber.
I mean, I was at Big Blue yesterday for their career and college fair, and I just greeted the students and expressed my excitement that McKinley was giving them the opportunity, as the vice president of the board. I greeted the students and expressed how glad I was that McKinley was doing it,
Mm-hmm.
because it gave them an opportunity to figure out what they want to do. Like, they might think they know because they exposed to maybe their aunt and their aunt and their grandmother or their mother being nurses,
Mm-hmm.
or what have you. And nursing is an honorable profession and it's a good job. And I wouldn't discourage anybody from being a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's all you've seen and you've not been exposed to anything else,
Mm-hmm. That's all you know. Listen, I got to give you a personal example. My dad was a appliance mechanic.
Okay.
And I just thought that was the end all and be all. Now, my mama had a career, but I didn't even pay no attention to hers, until I was 12. And my dad had said one day, I was just talking. Back then, they had Josephine the plumber on TV. I just had picked out my uniform that I was gonna wear when I became my own appliance mechanic and got my own truck, and I had my own tool belt. And I was just rattling on, and my dad would say, "Go inside with your mom." I was mad with him forever, but I wasn't thinking about going to college. That wasn't on my mind.
He said different, huh?
He said, "Go in the house with your mom." He hit him all of a sudden. That this chick gonna talk about. See, I wasn't thinking about the hard times. You got to pick up them refrigerators and you got to haul them air conditioners into the truck. I wasn't thinking about all that. I was 100 pounds soaking wet. I made it. Anyway, my point being that I'm glad to hear that McKinley had some eye opener. But do I have that correct? That the Pathway to Bright Futures program is to have kids to decide and
kind of. You make a good point, and it gets lost in the conversation actually. So, like you said, something called what used to be called tracking students, right? That's right. In education, where you just funnel students through a certain, there are tiers of curricular or programs, and then students get tracked into those programs. And historically, minority students tend to end up at the bottom in the bottom tiers, right? And so,
in the tiers that pay the least amount of money.
Yes.
At the at the beginning.
Yes. And so then, so that there is that aspect at play. What people have expressed the most concern about and what's been most vocal is concern. So, and it's actually having potentially negative impacts on diverse demographics. Okay.
Wow. That says a lot.
One is those high performing students that they know they are going to a 4-year university. Okay. They might not know what major, because we know that it's common knowledge that a 4-year university student is likely to change their major 2-3 times. Okay, but they know they're going to somebody's university, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so those students and those families tend to prefer AP, advanced placement courses, and generally speaking, colleges. When they're looking at accepting students, prefer AP. Okay, not all colleges are going to take you dual enrollment, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that has potential negative impact if the district that group of students, if the district chooses to focus.
You use a new term. I hate to stop you, but you need use
okay.
the new term called dual enrollment. What does that mean?
Okay. Dual enrollment is being a high school student. So being a high school student, taking a college course in partnership with a college. Okay. And so then, for example, the conversation right now is for the course to be, for the partnerships to be with BRCC, LSU, and Southern, but primarily BRCC. Okay?
Oh, yeah. They did that before.
Huh?
They did that before.
Oh, okay. So let's be clear. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I can remember that when it was something Botec. James M. Frazier. They changed the name. They had a track of kids that the seniors could go and start taking classes. And when they came out of high school, they could have the high school diploma and the barber's license.
Yes. So dual enrollment the concept of EBR doing dual enrollment is not new at all. Okay. And is and very recently it has been while we can definitely do a better job of offering dual enrollment, the concept is not new and it never went away. Okay. Right. So for example, my son, when he was at Bachelor, he did a year at Bachelor before he went and stayed with his dad and finished out of high school.
Okay.
He took dual enrollment courses. And so then when he came back to Baton Rouge to go to college and go to BRCC, he already had some credits.
Okay.
Okay. So he started out with a 4.0.
Okay.
All right. Now, so then what? So you're right. This is not new per se. Now, could we have done better jobs of making dual enrollment more available? Yes. Okay. All right. But it's not as if we weren't doing it. And it's not as if it was only reserved for students in an elite status. Again, my son was at Bachelor when Bachelor had no magnet programs. Okay. All right.
But now it seems like they're starting a lot younger, huh? With this proposed pathway to bright futures?
Yes. All right. So, and some of the details have fluctuated.
Okay. I understand.
Okay, since the release of the concept. But yes, the idea is mandatory dual enrollment, although there appears to be some flip-flop in communications around is it mandatory or do students have options?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to sort through that myself as a board member. On one hand, folks saying mandatory. The communications is a mandatory, okay, and then on another hand, but no, they have options. So I'm working through that. So if the public confused, me too.
I love your honesty.
Yeah. Okay. And okay. And so okay.
I think. Look, I'm gonna stop you right there to just say this, because it sounds like you need to go to these meetings and question folks diligently on what are they talking about? You know, what are they?
Well, and then let me stress this. Let me stress the importance of what you're saying. Okay, and let me go back to the different demographics it has the potential to negatively impact if it's not better planned out.
Okay.
Okay. So we talked about the high performing academic student who,
they going to somebody.
And not to say that every high performing academic student is even interested in a 4-year university.
I understand.
Okay, and on top,
yeah.
let me rephrase that, because some students are what you call quote unquote average, but they can take that AP course, they can do very well, and they can go on their way to a 4-year university because they know what they want to do. So let me correct how I'm framing it.
Okay.
There are some families who need AP.
Okay, and AP is what?
Classes versus dual enrollment classes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, then there are some students who the idea of every child getting an opportunity to make college credits while in high school, it sounds amazing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but what if, one, they just ain't interested. People
not that
right
weak, no way.
They just want to live their best life in high school and do their best in high school. Yeah. People have that right. Doesn't mean they lack ambition. Just means they recognize they are in high school.
And
right?
they want, and that's kind of how I was. Okay. You know,
yes.
My
friends.
You
went on to do great things. Okay.
my friends, they were into the academics. They didn't want to be in the band. They didn't go to no dances. You know. You know? They didn't want to be a cheerleader. They didn't want to do none of that. I wanted to do everything.
And nothing wrong with that. Right?
And my mama would say, but study. But anyway.
Hey, okay. And so then you have those students that just got dogged. Got dogged. I just want to
be in high school.
Spend my time enjoying growing up.
Yeah.
Right. And then there are students who, hey, they behind.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so they are struggling to make at least a C in a regular high school course.
Look,
and you saying give them a college course.
They were talking about chemistry. I was like, what? Chemistry?
Yes. Okay.
I was great in English.
Pockets of students that are now the importance of what you're saying in terms of people participating in the process. Why it's so vital is because, per usual, the parents that tend to be the most vocal are your high performing students.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your magnet students, that's your gifted and talented students. Yeah. Okay, and then on top of that, and there are plenty of Black children who fit that category.
That's right.
But then in terms of who is most vocal, then it's usually the middle class white mamas. Okay, I'm not poo-pooing on them being the most vocal. That's just what tends to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the narrative becomes that it's just a bunch of white folks complaining about.
Oh, if you, I see.
And then but then parents who, for their own reasons, have concerns, voices are not being heard. Okay, and so then as a community, we have to be more vigilant in showing up. Yeah. Okay, because yes, vocal people have their valid concerns, but they don't mean other people don't have their valid concerns, but we got to show up.
Yeah. And one of the reasons I have
including the Black, just real quick, including the Black AP honor roll mamas.
Okay. Them too.
Okay.
All right. You hear, huh? She telling me. Word to the wise is sufficient. Well, when I understood that there would be a series of meetings, you know what it reminded me of? When they first started talking about moving the zoo. And they had a schedule of a series of meetings. And I started out with the suburban meetings, right? And they were building up momentum. I was like, wait, y'all hear what they saying?
Right.
So I think of us few that was out going to the suburban meetings earlier on was like, what they say? Wait, what did you understand them to say? And there was this little group of LSU type professor type people that took us to the side. This is what they saying. You know, they were like, oh, that was that question you asked, that was right. That was a good question. Yeah, you need some of them, to understand the other language, to be like, this is what they saying. And so we got to talking, started calling up, our folk, our elected folks, say what they about to do. Where they talking about. And then the ones that say, they talking about over here, it flood over there. No, we don't want no bears digging out, in the middle of the night, we don't want it to move either. And in the end, I mean, it was set. And in the end, it was like, you know what? The people rose up. But if you don't watch it, all the decisions will be made.
Correct.
If nobody, and then your child is suffering because you didn't get a chance to input. The kids don't know to come and tell you, mama, they talking about such and such. And we have to, as mothers and grandmothers, we really have to get out. I know it sounds terrible, but to get our vision off the dollar. Yeah, you got a lot to do. Yeah, you got to make a living, but you don't need to take 3 jobs and your kids to go down the drain. You got to be able to go somewhere sometime to stand up for your kids.
And it's hard. Okay, I was a single parent.
Yeah.
My boys are grown now. It is hard. It is hard to juggle all of that, but we gotta figure it out, because when things, again, just like with this, during the enrollment situation, when things will also negatively have an impact on us, but the only voices being heard, then when we get to a place of resolving the voices being heard, are our concerns addressed? And then I like what you mentioned about the Zoom situation, because
it was going to be a done deal when they got it to our neighborhood. But people start talking to each other, and like
black and white. Now
that's right.
It was disinvestment on the north side of Baton Rouge,
yes.
Which is, I mean, the people were blatantly telling us that the black folks just weren't even good enough for some animals. Okay, it just was like.
I ain't put that in her mouth now.
Okay, but
that's the dawn rising there.
Yes. But what helped to defeat it was the reality that that's blatantly what they were telling us, but it was going to impact others as well. And so that's what caused the Baker mayor, the Central mayor, the Zachary mayor, to say, hey, no, this not good for any of us.
That's right.
And
I'm always glad about it. And listen, when my little granddaughter came to town, I say, look, we got to take her to the zoo.
Yeah. Oh, and it's gonna be so nice when they finish with the renovations.
I don't care about that. We was out there looking at they had what you call them, with the big tails. The peacocks was walking around. I was like, look, if we don't see the sheep too, we don't see nothing but this. She in another world. Look at that bird. It ain't no chicken. And it's not no sparrow. What is that? I learned years ago, kids get amazed with things. Yes. So I'm going to be calling upon you to let us know what the lineup is, when the next meeting on this subject.
Okay.
And how because that you said exactly right. On the news, we see Caucasian people and their children.
And that burns me up, because somebody sent me a link to, I think it was WBRZ, and I was like, why? They show still shots, B-roll footage of black folks in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you only interviewed the white folks. This is a problem for, if it's not thought through correctly, it's a problem for, the pilot.
Visually.
So the Glen Oaks pilot. So the report I got from the district office when I asked for detailed information from the superintendent stated that 90%, which is in conflict with what the BRCC people say. Okay, but the district office told the board, 90% of the students in a pilot program for this dual enrollment at Glen Oaks High are passing, or last semester passed. Okay, but then when you ask the question of what are their reading levels, most of them are below reading level according to the state assessment.
Wow.
Okay, so then you ask yourself, something is inaccurate, or something is questionable. Either the state standardized test that we put our children through every year is fluff, and our children are not as behind as it says, or the dual enrollment course doesn't amount to much in terms of the rigor.
Yeah, it's not challenging.
Okay, and which is why maybe the AP parents have a point. And maybe that's why some of those colleges, when they express concern that many colleges don't care about the dual enrollment and they prefer the AP, that may be why, because the AP is very strict. They're very strict. In order for that AP credential to be on the transcript, the coursework is very strict and the rigor is real high in comparison to dual enrollment. And I'm not poo-pooing on dual enrollment.
I understand.
Okay.
But you're just talking about what probably is the reality. So we really have to keep our eyes open in this situation. I want to tell you some years ago, and I do mean years ago, I interviewed Rupert Richardson. She was the NAACP Louisiana president at the time. And she said this statement to me that I've thought about was really, really true. She said that a good high school education should be able to give you the tools to make a living. And she was explaining to me that a college education should be good. And she, of course, was a college graduate, but that it shouldn't be absolutely necessary to make a living. Now, I've watched over the years, and when she said that, I thought about the people, the grown-ups in my life and everything, and I thought about, they raised a family. 2 people, 2 high school educations. They raised a family. They bought a house. They had at least 1 car. Some of them had 2. And they, lived what is now considered a middle-class life.
Yes.
Now, we have come to the point now that a person that just have a high school education may not have very much to look forward to without further training. That is that they're stuck in a situation where they don't want to give them a living wage. They can't really afford the things that they would like for their children. And I'm talking about more necessities than I am talking about, like your freshman get a new car. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. But I thought to myself, how quickly we have dissolved that now we want to say You know what? Before y'all even get in classes where you meet all kind of people, you know, that you have you can associate with each other, you gonna be separated right after middle school, where everybody that want to go to college, they're over here. Everybody that want a skill, a trade, whatever, or don't know, they over there. And there's no middle ground for the person that want to be, like we were saying earlier, a high school student. They might be great in English and terrible in chemistry, but they come out with the same diploma that means the same thing. Now, I think the average people are losing out. It just look like,
absolutely.
That on that application they say, what did you specialize in or whatever in high school, where you put general education. That's supposed to be something good. That's supposed to mean that you're a well-rounded individual. You're listening to Let's Talk, and we're talking with school board member Don Collins about situations involving East Baton Rouge Parish school system. And we can't leave the conversation, though, without we found out that she's a product of East Baton Rouge Parish Schools, and gonna be a proud individual that's gonna be an attorney, or at least have the attorney degree.
Oh no, ma'am! I'm gonna practice that. I'm gonna practice in the area of education, labor, and employment law.
Good. She's become a new grandmother and finished law school. That's a book right there.
Yes.
But did I hear somebody say you are involved in an election?
I am.
What's that all about?
Look, education is an issue of passion of mine, but it's one of several issues of passion of mine. And you know that from us doing advocacy work in the past.
That's right.
And so this special election came up, and I could continue fighting for education while also focusing on other important issues, all right, like economic development, health care, and criminal justice reform and police brutality, among other things. I would like to serve the great people of my area in a larger capacity.
Listen, you gotta give us a little background on this special election.
Okay, so let's educate the listeners. So on January the 28th, former state representative Ted James resigned from his seat for the District 101 state representative seat.
Now, pause right there. I just want to let folks know he graduated from McKinley Senior High School. Go on.
Yes.
General education. Go.
Yes, ma'am. Point well taken. Yes, ma'am. And the list goes on of amazing people.
Right.
General education. Yes, ma'am.
Just wanted to throw that in.
Yes, ma'am.
So he's gone on to DC.
To a federal appointment, yes. Okay. Small Business Administration, regional administrator, yes.
Okay. We're very proud of that. And so that left an opening on the state legislature.
Yes. Yes. And so it's a quick election turnaround.
How long is left on his term?
About a year and a half.
Okay. A year and a couple months. All right, we got you. All right. So that seat can't just be open, just nobody in there, not in this day and time. All right.
Gotta fill a seat.
So there's going to be a special election, and when will that be?
That will be March the 26th, 2 days before my birthday, on March the 28th. We'll be in full Aries season on March the 26th. And then early voting is March the 12th through the 19th.
Wow. So, I mean, were you considering this, well, before? Did you decide earlier that you'd like to serve in the, and that he was in the State House of Representatives?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was in
So,
the State House of
so,
Representatives.
and this is
I run his
district.
campaign. I was his campaign manager.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's all right, girl. I ain't know that.
Yeah.
All right, wait a minute. I gotta write that special. The early election begins March the 12th. Okay, that's my son's birthday.
All right. See, that's gonna be a good day for me. by association.
There you go. So, and this is District what?
101.
101. And so District 101, tell us some areas that might be in that district.
All right, so my neighborhood, Forest Oaks and Windsor Place, which is the stomping grounds of Bel Air High School.
Okay.
Okay, so the neighborhoods are on Florida and Sherwood.
Okay.
Okay, and then Sherwood, on the east side of Sherwood Forest Boulevard.
All right.
Okay, south of Florida Boulevard, all the way down to Old Hammond Highway, and then the Boulevard, the Province, and whatnot further down in that area, down to Interstate 12. Then you come up above Choctaw, and you catch Monticello and Park Forest East. And then you come on across to your left side and you catch Big Park Forest, I call it Big Park Forest, in comparison to Park Forest East, because there are two whole precincts on the other side. Mm-hmm. And then you come and you catch Jewel Road all the way up to like El Scott. And you come across some more and you catch the Lanier subdivision. You go all the way over to Brookstown.
Oh, wow. That's a big area.
It is. Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, what do you think that part of this area that you speak of is they have had Black representation in for several decades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is this the first time? I don't remember a woman. Has there been a woman in District 101?
So District 101 is a bit of a unicorn.
All right.
Okay. All right. So in 2010, there was redistricting.
Uh-huh.
The population has shifted, and 101 was in the Orleans area, Orleans region.
Okay.
And they needed to
Orleans.
So the number was assigned in the Orleans area for this. Okay.
Okay.
And then with reapportionment, there was a seat that there was a seat created in the Baton Rouge area, and that is what is now District 101.
I see. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we look towards the clock,
Okay.
There is a whole thing about redistricting now. And I'll just preface that by saying that every 10 years there is the census, and thereafter they've got to count, and then they start redistricting for the congressional redistricting. And at one point we had more districts than we did. Cleo Fields was a congressman, but when Mike Foster won as governor, he kind of vowed to get rid of that district, so to speak. And that's what actually happened. And it looked like this time around we might get that district back, but Apparently that is not that has not happened or is not happening. Tell us a little bit about where we stand with the redistricting issue as we speak.
Okay, so, and there's some similar dynamics up and down. So from the state House and Senate, the U.S. congressional maps, Louisiana U.S. congressional maps, like you just mentioned, all the way down to Metro Council and School Board. Fortunately, for example, in East Baton Rouge Parish, it should be minorities, or excuse me, blacks in particular. We are proportionately the highest population. Okay.
Yes.
Currently, the board out of 9 members is majority white, 5 white. What is being proposed for East Baton Rouge Parish redistricting so far by the consultant in the process is a map that is 4 majority black, 4 majority white, and then a quote unquote swing leaning black, but not majority black district. That doesn't necessarily get us to 5, which is proportionately accurate, right?
Okay.
If we are the majority in the East Baton Rouge Parish school system in terms of residents and a voting age population, then we should be majority represented on the board. Okay. Similar dynamics on the Metro Council, though the numbers are the gap between the two is smaller, but still similar dynamics. And then, as you were pointing out about the U.S. congressional seats for Louisiana, we are 1/3 of the population, and there are 6 districts. But none of the maps in the Senate committee that proposed we have what is proportionately fair in terms of representation, which would be 2 seats out of 6. None of them made it out of the Senate committee. Okay, so then there's a call for the governor to veto what was proposed and send the legislature back to the drawing table on those maps.
Is there enough time for that?
Say again?
Is there enough time to go back to the drawing board?
Yeah, it is. And I'm sure it's not so much. And so then really and truly, it's a misspeak for me to say go back to the drawing board. All they have to do is pick a more fair map that didn't make it out of committee.
So there was some maps that were more representative that didn't get out of the committee.
Yeah.
So that they could be seen and or heard by the greater body.
Yes.
Okay. Now I understand that there are people who have gotten something going that they want the public to participate in. If they're not satisfied with the proposed map that's coming out. So tell us about that.
Well, one that's happening on what day of the week is this? Wednesday.
Well, we're broadcasting on Saturday, but
okay, all right. So then when this airs, the one that I'm aware of, the event I'm aware of, and we'll share, will have taken place.
Oh, it will have already taken place. All right, we can fix that.
Yes, it will have already taken place. That's the only one
What's
I'm
coming
aware
up
of in this moment?
Let's coming up so I can text mass text.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so the one coming up is a rally organized by a coalition of folks, including the NAACP and Step Up Louisiana, and it's gonna be at 3:00 today.
Oh, just in a little bit.
Yeah, just in a little bit. But I mean, somebody might have time if you text them at the governor's mansion.
Oh, it's at the mansion.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, because they want the veto to come from the governor.
Yes.
So it's not much space. So y'all really be across the street from the governor. In that little strip of land that used to be a parking lot. All right. So that's 3 p.m. The February 23rd. And my guess will be that even though you might not be in that particular, I'm sure between the 23rd and the 25th, no, 28th. When is that Saturday? Anyway, for the next week, you can call, you can email. Yeah, I'm messing it up work. You can call, you can email the governor.
Yes.
And look, Sister Dawn, this is what I say all the time. Don't bombard the black folk that's in office where your mama live. All right. You know where you live out in the suburbs. Please bombard them people, all them Republicans that are in office where you vote. Where you live, not where your mama live. Because they on board. You just wasting, look, you just wasting time.
Because most of them, not all, if we be honest, not all gonna just do the right thing, but usually.
Just remind them where you stand. Where, and half of them, if you call the office, they gonna say, and where do you vote?
That's correct. That is correct.
So you let them know, you might, and look, I'm terrible with that. I don't remember the precinct number and all of that. I just know the place. You vote at such and such a gym or such and such a school library or such and such a what do you call it? Firehouse. That's where I vote. You know where that is? You in the middle of your district. Anyway, get the word out that there are plans that are more equitable than the one that has landed on the governor's desk. And I'm going to say this, people, when we talk about all kinds of stuff, and Ms. Collins, we're going to really, ask you, because how long is your term in school board?
So November, all of the school board members are up for re-election of this year.
And there's some people need to come back.
Yes.
We need to get them back. And look, it took us a year to realize they're not coming back. Wait a minute. So, where the school board is concerned, between now and November, can we get you to commit that once a month you'll come up and give us an update on what we should have our eyes and ears open for? We can ask you questions about what's going on. It's confusing.
This is what I will commit to do. Okay. I will commit to doing that even after I win the state rep race.
All right.
Because that race is in March.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, now. Oh, so
and
we'll have dual
education.
Dual information. I love it. They're talking about dual education, dual enrollment. We'll have dual information.
Yes, there you go.
I love it. And best of luck to you and yours. We had no idea that you had been a campaign manager previously.
Oh, yeah. Many campaigns, either a field manager or full campaign manager.
We need to really, really talk about that, because it's a new age. It's a new day. And the question of how do we reach the people is one that's it's vital
Yes.
Because
yes. Oh,
we.
and look, on that note, I don't want to forget to mention
Okay.
the last 3 meetings for Pathways to Bright Futures.
Okay.
Okay. The informational sessions.
Okay.
Okay. So they are all so March 9th, March 10th, March 14th, all of them at 6 o'clock. Okay.
9th,
March 9th is at Skylandville. March 10th is at Woodlawn. I feel like we did Woodlawn already. Why we doing it again, I don't know. And then March 14th is Baton Rouge Magnet High School. And don't let Baton Rouge Magnet High School parents outshine the rest of the schools, especially Scotlandville.
All right.
Okay, because
9th, 10th, and 14th.
Okay,
yeah.
and that's important.
Okay.
But, and Scotlandville has AP programs as well.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as we talked about earlier, there are various pockets of folks that are going to be impacted, and all voices need to be heard.
We thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we look forward to talking with you again real soon. You got to run to the rally.
Yes.
And I got to make my fingers do the moving.
Yes.
Thank you so much. The clarity that you brought is instrumental. Thank you. God bless and keep you. And let's make all our conversations useful. Till next time, let's talk.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.